Hi everyone, welcome back to PSA. If you are new here, I'm Tanya, and if you've been with us for a while, you know that we love to have deep and real conversations. So tomorrow, we are heading to Mexico. We are crossing the border so that I can go and see the dentist. And as we prepare for this trip, I can't help but reflect on my own journey, on what it means to be an immigrant, on the reality of crossing borders and how we see people who come from different places. Now, I immigrated to America 13 years ago from South Africa. I know very much what it feels like to be new in a land, to navigate a new culture, to feel both welcomed and like an outsider all at the same time. And as I've been reflecting on that, there's one thing that keeps coming to mind, that Jesus was a refugee. You know, sometimes when we talk about Jesus, we think of him just being in one place, walking the streets of Jerusalem. He was teaching in the synagogues. We think of him sitting with his disciples. But Jesus moved, and he moved a lot. From the moment that he was born, he was displaced. You can see this in Matthew 2. Verse 13 to 14 says to us, "When they had gone, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream. 'Get up,' he said, 'take the child and his mother and escape to Egypt. Stay there until I tell you, for Herod is going to search for the child to kill him.' So he got up, he took the child and his mother during the night and left for Egypt." Jesus fled his homeland as a child because of political persecution. He was a refugee before he was even old enough to walk. He crossed borders just to survive. And then later in his life, he traveled constantly. He was rejected in his hometown, which we see in Luke 4. In Matthew 8, it tells us that he had no place to lay his head. And he crossed cultural lines to minister to people that others would have just ignored, like the Samaritan woman at the well that we see in the book of John. But Jesus, he was a traveler. He was an immigrant. He was an outcast. He knew what it felt like to not belong. And that means that he had deep compassion and has deep compassion for those who find themselves in foreign places, physically, emotionally, or even spiritually. You know, it's interesting how even in modern times, immigrants are viewed differently, sometimes with skepticism or judgment. But if Jesus himself had to flee his homeland, then why do we look down on those that leave theirs? There's a verse in Leviticus, a few verses. In Leviticus 19:33 to 34, it says, "When a foreigner resides among you in your land," listen to this, "do not mistreat them. The foreigner residing among you must be treated as your native born. Love them as yourself, for you were foreigners in Egypt, and I am the Lord your God." God commands us to love the immigrant, to welcome the outsider, to remember that we were all foreigners at some point. And for those of us who are believers, this is especially true because our citizenship is ultimately in heaven. We are all just passing through. So whether someone is crossing a border for a better life, or they're escaping danger, or just seeking opportunity, our posture as followers of Jesus is just one of love, not of fear. It's one of compassion. Jesus, he didn't see nationality. He saw humanity. You know, 13 years ago, I packed myself up. I packed up my whole life and I moved to America. I didn't know what my future held, but I knew that I was stepping into something new, something unknown. And let me tell you, being an immigrant comes with so many emotions. There's excitement because you're stepping into possibility. There's fear because you're leaving behind everything that is familiar to you. There's even loneliness, because even when people welcome you, you can still feel like a stranger. Now, I remember moments when I felt like I didn't belong and when I questioned if I had made the right decision. But I also remember how God provided and how he surrounded me with community, how he made a way when I didn't see one. And now my life looks completely different. I met my husband. and we're about to celebrate our 10-year anniversary. We have a beautiful son who's about to turn 6 years old, and he is truly the best of both of us, the brightest part of every single day. And my husband's given me a home, and he's given me a family. He's welcomed me into American culture, into his family, in a way that makes this place feel like home. And it's a reminder to me that we are never meant to navigate life alone. Just like God placed the right people in my life, we are called to do the same for others, to make space for them, to love them, to make them feel at home. But here's where I want to challenge us. Politics and laws should never dictate how we treat people. I believe in safety, and I pray for a secure country where my son can grow up free of harm. I pray for a world where people can enter and build lives legally and with dignity, but at the same time, there is never an excuse for treating someone as less than because of their immigration status. How someone arrived in this country doesn't determine their worth. Whether they are documented or undocumented, those people are still made in the image of God, and they deserve compassion. And if we claim to follow Jesus, then our posture towards immigrants should look like his, not like one of rejection. You know, Matthew 25, verse 35, it says, "For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in." And that is exactly the space where we need to look like Jesus. Whether you're an immigrant or you're just someone going through a major transition in your life, trust that God goes before you. There's a beautiful verse in Psalm 121, and it says, "The Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore." I love that. You may not have all the answers just yet, and you may feel a little out of place, but you're not alone. God provides. He places the right people in your life. He leads you exactly where you need to be. And just like God walked with Jesus through every single journey, he walks with you too. So I'd love to hear from you. What has been a moment in your life that you felt like an outsider? And how has God provided for you in seasons of change? So leave a comment below, because we know that we are not alone in this. So I'd love to hear from you. We would love to hear from you and know what has been a moment in your life that you felt like an outsider, and how has God provided for you in seasons of change? Leave a comment below, because we know that we are not alone in this. And if this message encouraged you, don't forget to like, to subscribe, and to share, because I know that somebody out there needs this reminder today. And until next time, let's love more, and I'll see you at the next PSA. Pray for me, because you know how much we love going to the dentist. But seriously, definitely check out the playlist. We have so many messages just like this for you and those around you. Share it with the first person that comes to mind, and we'll see you in the next one.